All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining a little bit early. We will get started here in about 4 minutes or so. But for those of you that are on right now, we would love to know where you are located and maybe what company you're from. I know we have quite a few of you joining from our education alliances. So would love to hear where you're from, where you're working. I'm based out of Fargo, North Dakota. It is a blizzard outside right now. So hopefully some of you are like maybe down south, not experiencing that. But and
I swear,
Elizabeth,
every time I go to Fargo Moorhead, it is blizzarding. It doesn't matter what month it is. I swear, it's always horizontal snowing when I'm there.
it is, yes, because it's very flat. There's not a lot of trees and the wind is always blowing. So it's a lot of fun.
Fun.
Yes, fun. Elizabeth, are you towards like the Minneapolis, Minnesota area?
I'm actually further south, so I'm going to be
Oh,
on the border of like Minnesota and Iowa.
oh, okay.
Yep. So
Which
I'm
town?
opposite direction. I'm in Fairmont, so I'm about an hour
Fairmont, that's
outside of
right.
Mankato. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I'm
Okay.
nine
I
miles
remember
north of
this.
the Iowa border.
Yes, because I grew up most of my childhood in Mankato, Minnesota, so I'm very familiar with
Oh
that
yeah, there we
area.
go.
So
Yep.
there. Yes.
We've got people. We got a couple people in from Wisconsin, so they can
Oh, they
commiserate
can
with the
relate.
cold. Yeah, yep.
Lots of
Although I will
snow.
say I have some family down in Georgia, and my sister was complaining that she went out for a run this morning and it was 27 degrees.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I
That's
said, I
crazy.
think that actually might have been colder than where I was. I
Then
think it was like
we're
33 this morning for us.
it did heat up a little bit because I think it was in the 30s here too, and now it's a little colder, but yeah, that's kind of shocking. We have a lot of Columbus, Ohio, or a couple of you. And okay, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, and we're jealous. Although I think it's cooled off a little bit
I
down there
think
too.
I think it's been cold down there. I was on a call with some people down
Oh,
in Florida. Yeah, 37 in Tampa.
37. Okay,
Yeah.
that's like pretty much comparable to what we're feeling
Yeah.
right now. Oh, wind
37.
chill.
That's impressive. I mean, that's like 37 in Tampa. If it was 35 here in Minneapolis, that's not
Right.
speaking too highly of Tampa weather these days.
I know. I didn't know that happened. 63. For those of
Idaho.
you, yes, that is crazy. For those of you just joining again, or just briefly here, we want to know where you're located, maybe what company you're working for. That's kind of what we're throwing over in the chat box right now. Otherwise, we'll get started here in about a minute.
What is the weather in Boise, Idaho? I'm curious.
Oh yeah.
Thinking
Oh, FedEx, Memphis, Tennessee.
DC
Oh,
41.
41. Is it just everywhere is cold right now?
31 in Boise. Okay. 36 in Illinois. Okay. I'm feeling like we're all in this
In
like 30, like 20 to 40. We'll give it a little span.
I agree. This is crazy.
Somebody just say Canada?
44.
Ontario.
Oh,
Okay.
there's a Mankato. That's near Elizabeth. Oh, another one. They
Does
must be from
Canada, do you measure Canada? Do you go by Fahrenheit or Celsius? Oh,
oh,
Houston's at 70
70.
degrees.
I just saw
Sheesh.
that.
Northern Virginia is 40. Celsius. Okay.
Celsius, I thought, yeah. Well, this is
Oh,
very
it's
interesting.
snowing. Well, we could just do this for the hour. We could
I
just talk
know.
about our weather,
And how common it all is across the
right?
board, it
Yeah.
seems.
Oh man, even in North Carolina, 45.
Yeah,
Oof.
45.
Oh,
Oh,
Caroline. Yes, I do know
oh,
the weather.
you're
I'm watching the leaves whip my window.
oh,
64 in San
64
Diego.
climbing
I'd take
and
that.
yeah. Well, this
I'd
is
take
so
that.
much fun. I see we have 153 on our call so far. It is noon Central Time, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get us kicked off. Just wanting to be mindful of everyone's time today. I know this more than likely might be your lunch break, but Just wanted to welcome all of you to Rasmussen University's Professional Development Training Series. My name is Mackenzie McFadden. I am a Senior National Account Manager with Rasmussen, and this has been quite a year. We have done this professional development training for the first time for a full year. So I just cannot thank all of you enough for your excitement, your support. Through this year, we've had so many people reaching out to us, eager for the next session, what it's going to be. So we really appreciate it. We're very excited to continue on to next year, bringing you some really exciting topics and presenters in the new year. But before we get into today's presentation, which is on embracing imperfection, and it's by our own Elizabeth Lintelman. But I wanted to just briefly mention that most of you on this call today are joining us because your company is part of our Education Alliance Network, which means you have access to some wonderful education benefits, some various tuition grants. Those tuition grants also extend to your family members. So just what a great opportunity to have your family take advantage of those as well. We have a laptop program for all of our campus-based programs for you to get a no-cost laptop and really set you up for success. So we're here to help you and support you in your education journey. And for those of you that were interested in learning more, about this, we are going to reach out to you, get you some more information. I'm going to throw the landing page for you to explore your options in the chat box. But just wanted to review some of those quickly for you. And I'm going to now turn it over to Elizabeth. I know she has some great content for us and a lot here to get done here in 40 minutes. So I'll turn it over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Well, welcome. My name is Elizabeth Lintelman, and I am thrilled to speak with you today about embracing imperfections. I have had the privilege of working at Rasmussen University for 16 years and currently serve as the director of career services, where I get to support our alumni in finding work in their field of study. But just like you, I am more than just my job title, as I wear many hats in my life. I am a mother to two smart, caring girls. I'm a wife and a small business owner. My husband and I own a restaurant and a food truck in southern Minnesota. And I am also a level 1 certified CrossFit coach. And I'm telling you all of this because I am driven to help others achieve goals, both personally and professionally. And I am so fortunate to be able to share my perspective with you today. And I appreciate you taking time to join me. Now, I am going to be honest, when Mackenzie approached me and asked if I wanted to host another professional development webinar, I thought, sure, I have this book by Brene Brown that I've been wanting to read. It's called The Gifts of Imperfection. And I thought to myself, okay, it's going to be a quick and dirty how-to list for happiness. But as I read the book, it made me realize that as much as I love to skip over the hard stuff, meaningful change doesn't actually work that way. In this book, Dr. Brown outlines 10 guideposts to wholehearted living. So we're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking through these guideposts and how I've found connection and meaning to them. And by sharing that, I hope that you can find connection in your own stories. So what is wholehearted living? What does that even mean? Brene defines wholehearted living as a process. It's a lifetime journey where we engage in our lives from a place of worthiness. And to lead wholehearted lives, we need to learn how to worry more about how you feel and less about what other people might think. And this is so important because when we struggle to believe in our worthiness, we hustle for it. What will people think? You can't really love yourself. You're not rich enough, pretty enough, skinny enough, smart enough, fill in the blank. So I'm just going to sit back and just pretend that everything's okay. And I don't know about you, but I've gotten to a place in my life where I don't want to live like this anymore. I need to learn that, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable, but I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. So let's explore the 10 guideposts together and helping us along this wholehearted journey. So guidepost 1 is letting go of what people think. Most of us have shame triggers around being perceived as selfish, right? Because no one wants to be thought of as narcissistic. And many of us have a clan of awful gremlins in our brains yelling negative slants that challenge our authenticity. What if I think I'm enough, but others don't? What if I let my imperfect self be seen and nobody likes it? Being authentic isn't always the safe option. Sometimes choosing to be real over being liked can feel like you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. How often have you held off on sharing an idea, whether it's maybe with your peers at work or at school or with your friends? It can be scary. What if they think I'm dumb? What if no one likes what I have to say? Being authentic can be terrifying. And why is that? Well, it's because it's easy to attack and criticize someone when they're risk taking. Cruelty is cheap, it is easy, and it is everywhere, especially in this day and age with technology and the internet. Being authentic means stepping outside of our comfort zone and having the courage to tell our story and not be immune to criticism. It is okay to let go of what other people think and to tell those gremlins to be quiet. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, my husband and I own a restaurant. The restaurant was open for breakfast and lunch, and we also hosted 6-course tasting menus in the evening by reservation only. We ran our restaurant for almost a decade, some of which was through COVID, when we decided we needed to make some lifestyle changes to better suit our family's needs. And this was particularly true when our youngest daughter was unexpectedly diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease at the age of 4, and we knew she would require a kidney transplant. We made a very tough decision to close our restaurant's daily operation for breakfast and lunch and only be open by reservation periodically for tasting menus. Now, our restaurant is in a really small town, and there is and was no shortage of people expressing their dissatisfaction and disagreement with what we decided was best for our family. I included a little screenshot of one of those comments from our Facebook page about it. I have spent many sleepless nights concerned about what other people think. But ultimately, I determined that sacrificing my sanity and the type of parents that we want to be for our girls wasn't worth it. I had to let go of trying to be everything to everyone. And I will admit, this guidepost is still a work in progress. People still stop me today and say cruel things about our business decision about the restaurant. It's a shame you're not servicing your community. Or my personal favorite, your daughter had her kidney transplant. Why can't you just open back up? I find myself needing to dig deep, really deep. And what I would encourage you to do is to find a saying or a word that grounds you. For me, it's as simple as taking a few deep breaths and repeating to myself, I am enough. My family matters. My mental health matters. Whenever you're faced with a vulnerable situation, be intentional with your actions and thinking and repeat positive affirmations to give yourself that courage. We need to be okay with letting go of what other people think and focus on what's important and what we can control. Guidepost 2 is letting go of perfectionism. How many of us, raise your virtual hand, are perfectionists? I wish I could see all of your hands being raised right now in the room. This one struck a chord with me. Oh, I do see your hands. I love it. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'm not alone. Okay, so this one struck a chord with me when I was reading this book. And what Brene talks about is where perfectionism exists, shame is always lurking because shame is the birthplace of perfectionism. And we think, or at least I did before reading this book, no. Perfectionism protects me. It's like my mighty shield, right? In reality, it's like 100-pound vest. What it does is prevents me from taking flight. Now, I want to be clear about something. I was having this conversation with my sister in the car this morning. Perfectionism is not the same thing as trying to be our best. Perfectionism is not about healthy achievement and growth. It is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain and judgment and shame. Perfectionism is not self-improvement. Perfectionism at its core is about trying to earn the approval and the acceptance of others. Most perfectionists were raised being praised for achievement and performance, right? Think about the praise you receive for good grades, rule following, sports, appearance. There I am on the screen, some beautiful high school shots of me, right? Looking back, I graduated top 5% of my high school class, was captain of my swim team, graduated with my bachelor's at the age of 20. But from all of that praise and achievement develops a dangerous and debilitating belief system, and one that I still struggle with today. I am what I accomplish. I am how well I accomplish it, how quickly I accomplish it. Please perform, perfect. Perfectionism is focused on other people's beliefs. What will they think? Versus a healthy mindset of being self-focused. How can I improve? Research shows that perfectionism hampers success. My perfectionism drives me into a life paralysis, which are essentially all of the opportunities I miss because I'm too afraid to put anything in this world that could be imperfect. It's also all of the dreams that I don't follow because of my deep fear of failing, making mistakes, disappointing others. It is terrifying to risk when you're a perfectionist. Your self-worth is on the line. My perfectionism, it sets me up for failure because I don't know if you know this or not, there's no such thing as perfect. It's an unattainable goal. And really, perfectionism is more about perception. I just want to be perceived as perfect. Oh, again, that's not attainable. And it's important to realize that perfectionism, it touches everyone around us. We pass it down to our children. We infect our workplace with impossible expectations. And let's be honest, it is suffocating for our friends and family. But here's the bright side, my friends. Thankfully, compassion also spreads quickly. When we are kind to ourselves, we create a reservoir of compassion that we can extend to other people. Our children learn to be self-compassionate by watching us. Hey, mom makes mistakes. I can make mistakes too. Let me give you an example of perfectionism and self-compassion at work. I sent an email to someone at work, somebody I've never met. I don't know them. I needed them to do something for me. I sent my email and I get a response letting me know that I misspelled their name. What do I think? I immediately jumped to, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so dumb. How can I make such a stupid mistake? Why couldn't I respond with self-compassion? Is it really a big deal? Mistakes happen. I can't let myself think I'm a horrible human because of one tiny mistake. I do believe that most of us are trying to live an authentic life, but there is so much more to love and enjoy when you are not perfect. Many of us, myself included, run around trying to like spackle the cracks in our life, make everything look just right. Believe me, there is beauty in the cracks, in the messy house, and the imperfect emails. It reminds us that our imperfections are not inadequacies. They are reminders that we are all in this together, imperfectly, but together. Let go of perfectionism, stop spackling, and start showing yourself a little self-kindness. Guidepost 3 talks about numbing and powerlessness. And when we talk about struggling with worthiness, we have to understand how we deal with difficult emotions. Many feel the need to numb these emotions because who enjoys feeling discomfort and pain, right? Most of us engage, consciously or not, in things that help reduce those emotions. We can anesthetize with a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just drugs and alcohol. We numb ourselves with food, relationships, money, work, gambling, social media, just to name a few. The thing about numbing, though, is that when we numb the dark, we also numb the light. There is no such thing as selective emotional numbing, right? As much as I wish I could make a list of all of like the bad emotions and say, I'm going to numb these and then make a list of all the positive emotions, but I'm going to fully engage in these. When we take the edge off the pain and vulnerability, we also unintentionally dull our experiences of good feelings like joy. So let me ask you this. Does your numbing agent fill in the blank, eating, drinking, spending, gambling, saving the world, perfectionism, working 60 hours a week, whatever, does it get in the way of your authenticity? Does it stop you from being emotionally honest and setting boundaries and feeling like you're enough? Or do you use it to hide and escape from the reality of your life? Whether you're overcoming adversity, surviving trauma, dealing with stress and anxiety. Having a sense of purpose and perspective in our lives allows us to develop an understanding and move forward. And without purpose and meaning, it is easy to lose hope and feel overwhelmed. When we can recognize and celebrate that we are all connected to one another by a great power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power in one another is grounded in love and compassion, we can bring a sense of perspective, meaning, and purpose to our lives. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but hope is actually not an emotion. It is a way of thinking. It is a cognitive process, and hope happens when we have the ability to set realistic goals. Hope is about being able to figure out how to achieve those goals, believing in ourselves, and includes the ability to stay flexible and develop alternative routes. Essentially, hope is a combination of setting goals, having tenacity and perseverance to pursue them, and believing in our own abilities. Hope is learned. On the flip side, hopelessness is when we have the experience that something's difficult and requires significant time and effort. And then we're quick to think, whoa, this was supposed to be easier. This isn't worth the effort. Hopelessness is dangerous because it leads to feelings of powerlessness. And that is dangerous for most of us because it's our inability to affect change, which creates a really desperate feeling. So, how do you develop a hopeful mindset? If we want to cultivate hopefulness, we have to be willing to be flexible and demonstrate our perseverance. Not every goal will look and feel the same. Some ambitions may be worthy endeavors, and they're going to be difficult and time consuming and not enjoyable at all. And some goals might be easy to achieve, but that doesn't mean that they have any less value than a difficult goal. To move towards a life of wholehearted living, we have to embrace hope and let go of numbing and powerlessness. And when you find yourself getting knocked down, instead of turning to your favorite numbing behavior, it's time to get into action. Breathe, check in with your emotions, reach out to a friend, ask for support. Rather than numb, find a solution and problem solve. Breathe some more and believe that you can solve the problem. Oh boy, guidepost 4. I am guilty of this one, letting go of scarcity and fear of the dark. I am always thinking I don't have enough. Before I even start my day, I'm thinking, I didn't get enough sleep last night, or I don't have enough time. We spend most of the hours and days in our lives hearing, explaining, complaining, or worrying about what we don't have enough of. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough money. When we do this, we are already setting ourselves up for inadequacy. There are too many nights that I go to bed each night with my mind, it's like a ticker. It's racing about everything that I didn't get done that day. I go to sleep burdened by those thoughts, and then I wake up in the morning and I'm already lacking. I was actually thinking about this the other night as I was taking my nightly dose of melatonin to be able to fall asleep. I medicate myself with mugs of coffee in the morning because I didn't get enough sleep at night. And then I have to take sleep aids at night because I'm so caught up with my never ending to do list that I'm so anxious I can't sleep at night. Anybody else? But okay, here's the good news. We have a choice. I have a choice in any setting, personal or professional, to step back and let go of the mindset of scarcity. We must embrace sufficiency. We must consciously choose the way we think about our circumstances. We have to get deliberate about getting out of the dark. When we are flooded with fear and scarcity, we have to actively engage joy and sufficiency by acknowledging the fear and transforming it into gratitude. It is okay to say, I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm so grateful for. Some days we get so caught up in the dark, we forget to see the light. Embrace the joy in ordinary moments, sharing family meals, going on a walk, a sunny day. Acknowledging these moments is what life is about. Something that I'm starting to do each night before I go to bed is starting a gratitude journal. I am not writing myself a novel each night, but I am writing down some things that bring me joy and that I'm thankful for. I need to find and embrace sufficiency and train my brain to look for the light. Okay, guidepost 5, letting go of the need for certainty. How many of you talk to your gut? You might be thinking, I have no idea what my gut says. I haven't spoken to my gut in years. What if I ask you about your intuition? Your intuition is what your gut tells you that you need to know. Maybe it's a quiet voice from within. Maybe it's shouting from the rooftop. What Brene's research has found is that many of us silence our intuitive voice, right? Uh-uh, I need certainty. Most of us are not very good at not knowing. We like sure things and guarantees, so much so we don't pay attention to the outcome of our brain's matching process, right? Rather than respecting my internal instinct, we become fearful and we look for assurance from other people, right? We start polling people. Oh, what do you think? Should I do it? What would you do? We do this because we don't trust our own knowing. Feels too shaky, too uncertain. We want assurances from others because, hey, that way, if things don't go the way we want, well, we can just share that blame, right? Letting go of uncertainty can be scary. And sometimes you might have a physical response to uncertainty. Maybe it's anxiety or fear or vulnerability. And this is the time we have to get very quiet and still within our own minds. Maybe it's going for a walk in the neighborhood. Maybe you have a crazy household with kids running around all day and you just need 5 minutes alone in the bathroom. You have to find a way to be still so you can hear what your gut is saying. Take the time to listen to yourself. You might just be surprised at what your gut has to say. Letting go of comparison. There are some of you on this call that know me pretty well. I'm a very competitive person, which has been hardwired into my brain to constantly compare. I'm working on it. Comparison is all about conformity and competition, right? We want to see who or what's the best. Who lifted the most at the gym? Who ran the race the fastest? Who's taken the most vacations this year? We get so caught up in comparing ourselves with other, it is impossible to make time for the important things in life, such as creativity, gratitude, and joy. I love Theodore Roosevelt's quote that comparison is the thief of joy. How often do you feel good about yourself, your life, your family, your accomplishments? And then in a split second, it is gone because consciously or unconsciously, you start comparing yourself to what other people are doing. And social media makes this far too easy. I will be the first to admit I'm a checklist person. I told you when we started the presentation, I was hoping that this is what this book would be. Yep, like check it off, boom, I accept being imperfect. Letting go of comparison is not a to-do list item. It actually requires constant awareness. It can be really easy to take our eyes off of our own path to check what others are doing, right? See if they're ahead or behind us. But we must stay mindful that what we bring into this world is completely original and it cannot be compared. Without comparison, concepts like ahead or behind or best or worse lose their meaning. Okay, well, that's great. How do I let go of comparison? If we want to make meaning, we have to embrace creativity. As long as we are creating, we are cultivating our own meaning. Cook, journal, draw, doodle, paint, dance, do something, create something. It doesn't matter. When we are more focused on creating something unique, we can't be focused on comparison. For me personally, I've really been trying to spend less time comparing myself to others and more time creating. My mother-in-law signed me up for a basket weaving class with my daughter, which is that picture. And at first I thought to myself, okay, are you kidding? I don't have time for that. I've got like a list of to-dos like this long. But I did it and I'm so glad we did it. There is so much beauty in the uniqueness of each person's basket. And when you take the time to appreciate uniqueness, comparison loses its power. That picture on the top right is when my sister-in-law came to town. We did a Bob Ross painting hour. Everybody from the age of 70 to 72 participated. And truly, the only unique contribution that we will make in this world will be born out of creativity. As long as we are creating, we are cultivating meaning. So, Guidepost 7 talks about letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self worth. In today's culture, our self worth tends to be tied to our net worth, and we base our worthiness on our level of productivity. Spending time doing purposeless activities is rare. In fact, for many of us, Sounds like like an anxiety attack waiting to happen, right? Who has time to join a golf league or take a dance class? We have so much to do and so little time that the idea of spending time doing anything unrelated to my to-do list, it just creates more stress. Hence my initial reaction to being signed up for that 4-hour long basket weaving class. We convince ourselves that playing is a waste of precious time. And let's be honest, sometimes we even convince ourselves that sleep is a terrible use of time. Many of us, myself included, believe that exhaustion, the status symbol of hard work, sleep, that's a luxury. How often have you thought, I can sleep on the weekends or nappings for the week? But the truth is, we can't handle it. We are a nation of exhausted and overstressed adults raising overscheduled children. We use our spare time desperately searching for joy and meaning in our lives. We think that accomplishments and acquisitions will bring that joy and meaning, but that pursuit could be the very thing that's keeping us so tired and afraid to slow down. To get out of this vicious cycle, we have to prioritize joy and meaning. Consider sitting down and answering the question, hey, when things are going really well in my life, what does that look like? Maybe it's things like I sleep 8 hours, or I make time for the gym, or I have time to meal prep, or I spend time with family and friends, or I go on vacation. Now compare that with your what I want to accomplish and your to-do list. You might find that everything on that latter list requires more money or more time. So perhaps by letting go of the list of things that we want to accomplish and acquire, we could actually be living our dream and not waiting for it to happen. Now, I will be honest, I'm a list person, right? I struggle with dropping anything off of any list. And that's because I like to play the what if game. Maybe you all are familiar with the what if game. What if I'm wrong? What if busy and exhausted is what it takes? What if my girls don't get into the college of their choice because I didn't schedule 1,200 extracurricular activities? When my mind starts racing and I start panicking, I need to stop and ask myself, what if I don't do some of those items on my many, many lists and I end up being normal and quiet and happy? Does that count? And I guess the answer to this is only yes, if it counts to me. If what matters most to me is what I'm concerned about, then play and rest are important. If what matters to me is what other people think or say or value, well, then it's back to exhaustion and producing for self-worth. So I encourage you to say no, buck this system, take something off your list, maybe take a nap. Guidepost 8 talks about anxiety as a lifestyle. I have traditionally always been able to manage competing priorities, family demands, the pressure of it all. But what I need to understand, again, I am a work in progress. I'm still working through this, is I can't function with this much anxiety anymore. I don't need to figure out a way to keep going with this level of anxiety. What I need to figure out is how to be less anxious. Now, I realize I'm never going to live anxiety free, but what I can do is be anxiety aware. I have to be committed to living a life where anxiety isn't the lifestyle. So, how can we be slower to respond and quicker to think? A panicked response produces more panic and more fear. Psychologist and writer Harriet Lerner says, anxiety is extremely contagious, but so is calm. It's important to remember small things matter. For me personally, I need to stop being so quick to respond. Rather than trying to please everyone and do everything, I need to create a meaningful pause. For example, before I respond to a request to do something, whether it's taking on a new project at work or booking an event at the restaurant or committing to chaperone a field trip, I need to give myself some time. Maybe it's to the count of 10, or give myself permission to say, I'm not sure, I'm going to need to think about that some more and get back to you. I would also encourage you to think about how and if you embrace calm and stillness. How do you create a space that allows you to think and feel and dream and question? Maybe when someone asks you to do something, maybe you spin your ring 5 times around your finger and give yourself some time to contemplate before responding. We all need to find something that works for us. All right, guidepost 9, we're almost there. Letting go of self-doubt and supposed to. When you meet someone new, one of the most common questions we ask, and we ask them and they ask of us is, well, what do you do? Now, if you think about it, most of us have complicated answers to this question. For example, I shared with you in my introduction slide. I'm a mom, a wife, a restaurateur, a coach, a sister, a friend, a director of dreams, all the things. These are all of the things that make me who I am. But as a society, why do we define ourselves by a singular job title? What I will tell you is we all have gifts and talents. When we cultivate those gifts and share them with the world, we create a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. Sharing our gifts and talents with the world is the most powerful source of connection. Using our gifts and talents to create meaningful work takes a tremendous amount of commitment because in many cases, meaningful work isn't what pays the bills, right? For me, I love fitness. I love pushing my mind and body to do things I never thought I could do. But I have this career and this education and profession in higher education. I still have a draw to help people physically. So 2 years ago, I decided to get my level 1 CrossFit certification so that I could help develop athletes and inspire others in the gym, 2 to 3 classes a week while not giving up my main source of income. While some people have it figured out how to align their gifts and passions with their profession, like my husband, who's a very talented chef, most of us have to piece it together. As a society, we get so caught up in defining our value and who we are by what we do. Overcoming self-doubt is all about believing we're enough and letting go of society dictating who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to call ourselves. How many of you have a hobby or a passion that you love? Maybe it's quilting or making jewelry or music or writing poetry. But how many of you thought to yourself, yeah, I mean, I do it, I like it, but it's not really a gift. It's not big enough or important enough to be like a real talent. Self-doubt undermines the process of finding our gifts and sharing them with the world. We need to start asking the question, what makes us afraid? What's on my supposed to-do list? Who says why? It wasn't up until recently that I started sharing in my professional circle that I own a restaurant and I'm a CrossFit coach. Why? Because I was afraid. I was afraid of what people were going to think. Well, she can't possibly give all to her profession if she has all those other slashes. It's those slashes that make me who I am. They fill my cup. And I want my daughters to know that they can grow up to be and do whatever they want. They don't have to settle on one path. Neither do you, neither do I. I want to encourage you to get comfortable living life with a slash. Make a list of the work that inspires you. Don't be practical. Don't think about making a living. Think about doing something you love. There is nothing that says you have to quit your day job to cultivate meaningful work. There's also nothing that says that your day job isn't meaningful work. Maybe you just never thought of it that way. What's your ideal slash? What do you want to be when you grow up? What brings you meaning? All right, we've made it to the last guidepost, which is cultivating laughter, song, and dance, letting go of being cool and always in control. Okay, remember those gremlins, in our head that are constantly there? They're there to make sure that self-expression takes a backseat to self-protection and self-consciousness. There are many ways in which we hustle for worthiness around these issues, but the two that keep us the quietest are wanting to be perceived as cool and in control. We want to minimize vulnerability in order to reduce the risk of being ridiculed and made fun of. Let me ask you this. How many times have you missed out while pretending to be cool? How many new things have you skipped? Maybe it's trying a Zumba class or doing karaoke, right? Because you have this fear of being perceived as uncoordinated, awkward, out of tune. You can see this desire to move, sing, and laugh in children until we teach them that they need to be concerned with how they look and what other people think. Kids might not be graceful or with the beat, but they always do it with unencumbered joy and pleasure. 5 days after my 6-year-old daughter received her kidney transplant, music therapy paid a visit to us in her hospital room. And at first, she was very timid. She'd like play a couple notes on an electric keyboard. But within 20 minutes, she was up on the floor dancing with my husband to Taylor Swift. Music therapy for her and for me and my husband reduced our anxiety and stress. And for those carefree 20 minutes, nothing else mattered except for our connectedness to one another. Even last week, we were in the hospital for a whole week and we came up with a whole list of things we were going to do. And there was art crafts and there was a dance party on that list. And you better believe we had a dance party. When we value being cool and in control over granting ourselves the freedom to unleash the passionate, heartful, and soulful expressions of who we are, we betray ourselves. When we constantly betray ourselves, we can expect to do the same to the people we love. When we don't give ourselves permission to be free, we don't tolerate that freedom in others. We put them down. We make fun of them. We ridicule their behavior and sometimes shame them. We can do that intentionally or unconsciously. Either way, the message is clear. What are you doing? You look silly. Those same vulnerabilities, laughter, song, dance, have the power to create emotional and spiritual connections with one another. They remind us the one thing that truly matters when searching for comfort, celebration, inspiration, or healing. We are not alone. Now, I am not saying you need to go sign up to sing the national anthem at your kid's next sporting event, but I would encourage you to find a way to hold a space for laughter, song, and dance in your life. One thing that I've started doing is I made a girl's favorite song list on my Amazon account. Whether we are driving in the car, eating breakfast before school in the morning, I will turn our playlist on and we will sing and dance. And it always leads to laughter and smiles on our faces. Life is short. Dare to be goofy. Dare to dance. Laughter is truly the best medicine. So I know we are at time today and I appreciate you joining us. So as we close up today, I want to remind you that meaningful change is a process. This change, I'm going through it, feels uncomfortable, especially when we're talking about embracing our imperfections, cultivating authenticity, and looking in the mirror and saying, I'm enough. But we have to ask ourselves, what's the greater risk? Letting go of what other people think or letting go of how I feel, what I believe, and who I am. Imagine the freedom that comes when we stop pretending that everything's okay when it isn't. I want to, I hope you do too, cultivate the courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, you know what? No matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I'm enough. Dr. Brene Brown does have a free online instrument that allows you to assess your strengths and opportunities for growth around the topics that we explored today. And it can be found at brenebrown.com/wholehearted inventory. I thank you sincerely for your time today and would welcome you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I think that puts us at the 40-minute mark, so I apologize. I think I took all of the 40 minutes.
This is wonderful. No, this was great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I know I saw people in the chat box already saying that they purchased the book. So we just appreciate you inspiring us to do so and to look within to embrace our own imperfections. And before we take off, I would also I'm going to launch a poll question here, but I would love to get your thoughts on any other training topics you would like to see in the new year. So if you wouldn't mind before you take off, letting us know. Otherwise, if there are any questions for Elizabeth, please feel free to throw those in the chat box.
Awesome. I did not have my chat box open.
That's
so
okay.
I will go back and look at some of the comments that came in.
There were several comments, just insight, great presentation. Thank you so much. So this was really great.
Awesome. perfect. You're a worried sleeper. Oh man, that's the worst. Sometimes I'm so caught up in my own brain that I like dream about it too. And then I wake up even more exhausted.
I've been lately, so I am going to take that tart cherry juice suggestion and maybe give that a try that someone threw in the chat.
Oh, that's a good one.
Would love
Business
to
is
learn
your
how to
drug.
move
Rest
away
will feel
from
like
it.
stress. Yes.
Yes, and there has been some questions about recording. This session was recorded. It will also be deployed this afternoon to you. So it'll automatically, once it's ready to go, I'll publish that and it'll send directly to the email that you registered for.
Excellent. Yes, I did. I bought this book for my sister too. My sister's very competitive, and I'm like, I just read this great book. I'm gonna buy it for you.
Hey, and it's a perfect time to do so. Christmas time.
Right, exactly.
Good Christmas gift.
Excellent.
Great. Well, how do we know when our response saves in the poll? So you should just be able to submit your answer and then I can see your responses.
I'm seeing some themes: compassion, burnout, work and life, happiness, balance. Yeah.
Yes,
All
burnout
of the
is.
things.
Yep. And the ones that are, larger means that there's been several that have suggested the same thing, I think. So we'll definitely take all of these into consideration as we look to plan for the new year. So we really appreciate your insight.
You are welcome for sharing.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we can wrap up for the session today. But again, thank you so much, Elizabeth. This was wonderful. We'll definitely have you back next year. And thank you to everybody for joining us more than likely over your lunch break. We really appreciate it. And be on the lookout for our session in January.
Terrific. Thanks so much, everybody.
All right. Yes,
Enjoy your
have a
day.
great day.